The Roman world was held together not only by soldiers, roads and laws but also by money. Money shaped the way Romans thought about work, power, loyalty and survival. From the earliest days of the city to the final centuries of the empire, financial systems grew in complexity and influence. Roman money was never neutral. It was a tool of administration, a weapon of control and a mirror of social hierarchy. In the beginning, Roman society relied on simple exchange. Goods were traded directly and value was estimated by weight, usefulness and necessity. Cattle, grain and tools acted as measures of worth. This system functioned only in small communities. As Rome expanded beyond a village, the need for a standardized system became unavoidable. A growing population required a shared understanding of value that could travel beyond personal relationships. Bronze was one of the first materials used for Roman money. Large, heavy pieces were cast with official markings. These objects were inconvenient to carry, but they represented authority. Weight and metal purity mattered more than appearance. The early Roman approach to money emphasized order, discipline, and control rather than elegance. Over time, Rome encountered other cultures with advanced coinage systems. Greek cities influenced Roman financial thinking. Lighter coins made of silver became common. The denarius emerged as a central unit of account. This coin became deeply embedded in Roman economic life. Soldiers were paid in denarii. Contracts were written using denarii as reference. Prices were discussed in denarii even when no coins were exchanged. Roman money unified the empire. A merchant in Gaul and a farmer in Syria could understand the same values. This shared financial language made trade possible across vast distances. Money reduced uncertainty and allowed planning. It allowed the state to project power without constant violence. Coins carried images and symbols. Emperors placed their faces on currency to assert legitimacy. Titles and messages were included to reinforce authority. Every transaction became an act of recognition of imperial rule. Money spread political messaging more efficiently than speeches or decrees. Taxation was the backbone of Roman finance. The state demanded regular contributions from citizens and provinces. Land taxes were based on surveys and records. Trade taxes were collected at ports and roads. Special taxes were imposed during wars or emergencies. Taxation created a steady flow of resources toward the center of power. In many regions, tax collection was outsourced. Private individuals known as tax farmers paid the state in advance for the right to collect taxes. They then extracted payment from the population. This system encouraged efficiency but also exploitation. Abuse was common. Excessive demands led to debt and resentment. Debt was deeply embedded in Roman life. Loans were used to fund agriculture, trade and political careers. Interest rates were regulated by law but enforcement favored elites. Wealthy Romans had access to credit networks that protected them from ruin. Poor citizens faced severe consequences when debts could not be repaid. Debt laws allowed creditors to seize property. In earlier periods, debt could even lead to loss of freedom. Over time, reforms reduced extreme practices but inequality remained. Financial dependence reinforced social hierarchy. Roman banking institutions existed in many cities. Bankers accepted deposits, exchanged currencies and provided loans. They kept records carefully. Trust was essential. A banker's reputation determined success. Financial literacy became valuable in urban centers. Markets were central to Roman economic life. Daily exchanges of goods relied on coinage. Prices fluctuated based on supply, demand and state intervention. Grain markets were especially important. The state often intervened to stabilize grain prices to prevent unrest. Trade networks connected the empire. Roads, ports and ships moved goods continuously. Olive oil, wine, grain, metals and luxury items flowed across regions. Money made these exchanges efficient. Without standardized currency, trade at this scale would have been impossible. Public spending consumed enormous resources. The Roman state funded armies, infrastructure and public entertainment. Roads, aqueducts, baths and amphitheaters required constant investment. Soldiers demanded regular pay. Veterans expected pensions and land. These obligations placed constant pressure on finances. When revenue was insufficient, emperors faced difficult choices. Some increased taxes. Others borrowed or seized wealth. Many reduced the precious metal content of coins. This practice increased the number of coins in circulation but reduced their value. Inflation became a persistent problem. As coin quality declined, prices rose. People lost confidence in currency. Barter returned in some areas. Hoarding of gold and silver increased. Economic trust weakened. Financial instability often preceded political crisis. Soldiers demanded higher pay. Provinces resisted taxation. Trade declined. Emperors struggled to maintain control. Money problems became power problems. The Roman elite accumulated vast wealth. Large estates produced agricultural surplus. Slavery reduced labor costs. Access to credit allowed expansion. Wealth generated political influence. Politics and finance were inseparable. At the same time, Roman culture promoted ideals of moderation and virtue. Excessive greed was criticized in literature and philosophy. This contradiction created tension between moral ideals and economic reality. Wealth was admired but also distrusted. Money shaped daily life. Ordinary Romans used coins to buy food, pay rent, and access services. Wages varied widely. Urban workers lived close to subsistence. Financial insecurity was common. A single crisis could lead to ruin. Women participated in financial life within legal limits. Some owned property, managed estates, and lent money. Legal restrictions existed but practice varied. Family networks played a major role in financial stability. Slavery was a central economic institution. Enslaved people produced wealth without wages. This distorted labor markets and concentrated profits. Financial systems were built on exploitation. This reality shaped Roman prosperity. The state attempted to regulate prices, wages, and professions. Edicts fixed maximum prices. These measures often failed. Enforcement was difficult. Market forces persisted despite regulation. Provincial economies were integrated into the imperial system. Local traditions remained but Roman finance dominated. Taxes extracted wealth from provinces. Infrastructure facilitated extraction. This created both development and resentment. Corruption existed at all levels. Officials manipulated taxes, contracts, and public funds. Financial oversight was limited. Power protected wealth. Justice favored those with resources. Military finance was critical. Armies consumed large portions of the budget. Loyalty depended on pay. Financial strain threatened security. Mutinies often had economic causes. Coin mints operated across the empire. Central control varied by period. Quality and design reflected political conditions. Coinage provides modern historians with evidence of economic change. Over centuries, Roman financial systems evolved. Early simplicity gave way to complexity. Local autonomy gave way to centralization. Stability alternated with crisis. No system remained permanent. The later empire struggled with shrinking revenue and rising costs. Population decline reduced tax base. Trade disruptions reduced income. Military expenses increased. Financial collapse accelerated political decline. Despite its fall, Roman financial ideas survived. Concepts of taxation, public finance, and currency influenced later societies. Medieval and modern systems inherited Roman logic. Roman money was more than metal. It represented trust, authority, and structure. When trust failed, systems collapsed. This lesson echoes across history. Finance allowed Rome to build and maintain empire. It also exposed vulnerabilities. Money amplified both strength and weakness. The Roman experience shows that economic systems are inseparable from social values. Finance reflects priorities, power relations, and moral choices. In the end, Roman money tells a story of ambition, control, and consequence. Coins, laws, and numbers shaped lives across centuries. Through finance, Rome ruled the world, and through finance, it lost it.